It is that day. It's the fully loaded Alabama Auburn show. What's up, bud?
You know, this is the show we look forward to the mostest, other than the Mayor Joe Taylor show twice a month. This is, we get to just talk a little ball, Jeff.
You said the mostest.
It is the mostest.
You said you're the hostess with the mostest.
I'm not. That'd be you.
No, I'm not the hostess with the mostest.
Beetlejuice.
I will tell you this, though. Watching you just a minute ago, just sitting here being quiet, right? Watching your computer try to update was probably the most entertaining time of the week so far.
It was emotional.
Your blood pressure hadn't been high in a minute, and I think it elevated.
It was emotional.
Man, it was great.
Because I pride myself on being ready, right, and having information and ready to go, and let's do these things. Bro, I wasn't ready.
It was outstanding.
And it was just spinning. I found myself doing this.
Watch it. Did you get hypnotized with it?
I did. I was hypnotized.
That's good, man. I love it. That's so good. The internet is jank, by the way. They were out there again. We had to move. We had a water issue at the church, so we had to go out to turn the water off out here at the studio. And yesterday afternoon, and dude, we had to pick up the cable wire from Xfinity and move it out of the way so we could dig on the property.
Did it speed up?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I don't know if that's even possible that the internet speeds up with over here. Anyway, I don't.
Gig City.
It's not I guess we're supposed to be, right?
Are we? Or
but we're
are
not.
we in the process of, and we will become? Maybe that's where it's at.
I don't know, man.
Happy Alabama Auburn Day to everyone watching.
Yeah, it's a big news, man. A lot of things happening.
Well, it's a lot of Christmas Eve.
A lot of big visits.
Right. It's a lot of possibilities. What could happen in over the next couple weeks? Because I think a lot of these soon-to-be high school seniors, Jeff, want to shut down their recruitment before their senior season. They don't officially know that everyone signs in December, the early signing period, but I think a lot of them want to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Want to focus on their high school season. So a lot of big visits, a lot of big decommitments. Why'd you smile on that one?
Well,
Roll Tide.
I mean, because possibility,
it is a possibility.
Some possibilities of some things could happen for the big University of Alabama, or as my dyslexic friends like to call it, Bala-ama.
Bala-ama?
Yeah.
Tide roll.
So speaking of, let's just get the ball rolling, or the tide rolling. 4-star Jackson Lloyd committed. He decommitted from California. Was it USC? Or he's from California, right?
Which one?
Jackson Lloyd committed to Alabama.
Yeah.
Big O-line. He committed to Alabama. Mike Waltrip, Mike Carroll. Those are three big offensive linemen that have committed to Alabama. And then you got, and this one will excite your boy Matthew that gets on here. Micah Debo, as I like to call him. Put your chain up. Here come Debo. 4-star athlete. He's an offensive lineman. He's from Viger. You say it, Viger?
Viger.
Mm-hmm. He's from Viger. Viger Pritchard, I think, is where he's from. He's 6'5". This boy's a hoss. 6'5", 315 pounds. He's a big offensive tackle. The dude's an athlete. He plays basketball, track and field. He gets the job done. And then here's where it gets interesting. This is what you were talking about. Justice Terry.
Yes.
He decommitted from USC, set to visit Alabama. That's going to be something to watch. Some folks say that he's going to Georgia. That's going to be something to look at. Obviously, why would you not look at Georgia? I mean, if you're this type of athlete, but he's visiting Alabama, and he's a big time defensive lineman. So I mean, that's something to look at right there.
Here was I like to read the room, so to speak. I like to look from the big picture. It's just how coincidental is it that the day he decommits is the day that he makes his official visit, or the day he schedules his official visit?
Gotcha.
Call, I'm decommitted. I want to come see your program. There's some smoke, and when there's smoke, there's fire. And let's think about if you're a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, offensive lineman, even, let's say that. Lincoln Riley can sit down with you and probably get your commitment, right?
Sure.
He is an offensive genius there at USC now. Defensively, he doesn't hold that same. No, his defenses are always horrible. So going into the South, the deep South, Terry's from Manchester, Georgia. Where was the other kid from? Also Georgia, but I can't remember where he was from. He decommitted first. I'm talking about Isaiah Gibson, the defensive end.
So you got the two defensive guys
from Georgia, yeah.
from
High
USC
5
decommit.
stars. I get never been on a plane before. You're from South Georgia,
Yeah.
and you fly to LA,
Yeah.
and you got the weather.
It's gotta
you
be
got
captivating,
all
sure.
this stuff, and hey, there's the cheerleaders, and hey, there's the beach,
Yeah.
and you got. I like to call it a recruiting high, right? Because you're feeling it.
Sure.
And they committed quickly, but then you go home and you think about, well, it's 3,500, 4,000 miles. Will my parents get to come watch me, once a year, twice a year maybe, if they're financially able to do it?
And not really on TV because of the being in the deep South. The USC's not covered a lot in this area, right?
They are to an extent now with because they play a lot of Midwest, and
Okay.
with the conference area now, they can still get it, but if you're
Why USC to begin with, though? If
I think that's it. I think that's Heisman Trophy. 2 years ago, they won a Heisman Trophy with Caleb Williams, and it's a big time offensive school. And Lincoln Riley's a big hot name, and flashy. And I think they had another 5-star. They still got the 5-star Juju Lewis committed. He was the first. He was the first person to commit to USC in this class. He committed 8 months before anybody else even committed to the class. He's been in for a minute. But you start seeing the dominoes fall, and I think if I'm a bookmaker, book odds, I'm putting both these guys going to. They either both go to Georgia, or neither one go to Georgia.
Wow.
I think that Gibson may end up at Auburn, and I think Justice ends up at Alabama.
Wow.
I think it's both Georgia or neither.
That's
Just a gut
wild.
feeling, nothing.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
So what's happening at USC that's causing these big time athletes to say, you know what, I'm not a good fit. This is not working.
Well, I think it's distance. I think they've never.
You think that's the only problem?
I think it's a big problem for. First of all, you want to live in California?
No.
Um,
Heck no. They'd take a lot of that NIL money and taxes.
No, they will. They surely will. But isn't it cool to have your friends and family come watch you play in person?
Mm-hmm.
That's really not what happened at USC. I mean, I don't know their financial situation, and the schools do help, the fly people out and whatnot. But I think it's more to do with the system. And USC is still a tremendous program, unfortunately, much as I hate them.
That's for sure.
They're in some battles now because Washington's doing what it's doing. Oregon who's got more money than Oregon? They got Nike money. So they're being very, very competitive now, and there's always a possibility that those two guys could go back and commit to USC, but it's not going to happen. Most of the time, it does not happen.
Who's the quarterback kid that's at USC that you were mentioning?
Juju Lewis.
Do you think that affects him at all?
Because the statement his dad made last week at Auburn, he made a comment. Hey, one of the reasons I'm very excited about Auburn is the way that they are recruiting big-time defensive players. Mm-hmm. Because he wants to be developed. He wants to win, right? The more you win, the more your name gets out there, the more people are going to see you, and the more hype gets behind you. Look at Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
What kind of defense they got at Colorado?
Mm-mm.
None.
Zero.
He was at Colorado this weekend. And is he going there? Deion Sanders is hard to say no to.
Sure he is.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is a family decision. They live in Carrollton, Georgia. Another Georgia kid coming to USC, right? Also, I think there's a running back that's coming to USC from Georgia, 3-star kid that he's going to end up a big-time 4-star kid.
What kind of money, you just stop there on Deion Sanders for a minute in Colorado, what kind of money, NIL money, I mean, obviously the connections that Deion has with professional athletes across the spectrum. I mean, he's really good friends and close friends with people that have shoe companies and T-shirt companies and businesses and all those types of things. So do you think he has maybe more access to other schools? Now, I'm not talking about Alabama's and Georgia's, okay, or USC's. I'm talking about or Notre Dame, or even Oklahoma for that matter. But he has a lot more money than the top, other than those schools, the top 20 schools that are out there to throw around to these kids to get them to come.
Maybe even more than that. He has media attention, right? Because no one was talking about Colorado. Deion Sanders goes there. That's all you see everywhere.
That's right.
And they have some talent on that team. But the way he constructed that team, you can bring in a lot of big-time names, but to be a football champion, you have to have good chemistry.
Yeah.
That's what's lacking. And defense. He's got no defense. Shedeur Sanders will be a top 5 draft pick next year.
How do you develop defense? I mean, say for instance,
well, you hire Warren Sapp. That helps.
That does help. But what is he? He's a defensive line coach.
Yeah.
So who's your DC over there?
I don't know. They fired him from last year.
See, I just, to me, yes, he's fancy. Yes, he's flashy. Yes, he's a great communicator.
It's fun football to watch.
Yeah. It is. But if you're an offensive guy that knows, or even a defensive guy that knows, hey, I've got really the good potential of playing at the next level. You want to win to get that exposure.
If you want to play early, go to Colorado.
Yeah.
Right, you will have an opportunity to play early. If you want to be developed and go to the NFL, don't go to Colorado.
Which brings me to the.
I know it's the Auburn show.
Well, and I'm just going there. I think it's a great segue to which brings us to the 5-star Ty Hayward O-line guy. He's 6'5", 285 pounds. He's from Denton, Texas. He's predicted to go to Alabama. Is that why you as a 5-star, you go, you know what? I'm not going to go to Colorado. I'm not going to go to the USC program. I'm going to go to somewhere like Alabama and Georgia or Florida or, for that matter, Auburn right now to get developed so I can get ready to step out of here.
Unfortunately, Auburn is not where you go as an offensive lineman to get developed.
Yeah,
that has to change.
Yeah,
right?
So obviously that's something he's going to change.
In the last 7 years, they've had one lineman drafted as early as day 2,
which
at Auburn. So,
like you said, it's got to change.
And it is. The recruiting's saying that it is. Mm-hmm. But if I'm a big-time offensive lineman, there's certain programs that develop offensive linemen. Alabama does. You put a lot of people in the NFL. Notre Dame, known for its offensive linemen. Michigan, known for the offensive linemen. Penn State, big offensive linemen. But USC and Washington as well.
That's the trend, right?
It is.
I mean, of winners, if you're a winner, you're going to have a defense, or some semblance of a defense, but you're going to have an O-line that's stacked, that's put together. I mean, obviously the history proves that, right?
You win championships with offensive and defensive lines. Yeah. That's why Michigan won this past year. They had a better offensive defensive line than Alabama.
Well, they pushed them around. I mean, you saw it. I mean, they got the penetration they needed to get in that backfield, but then they also the offensive line was pushing these guys around. They were bullying Alabama's D-line.
And that's what it's about. No question.
Luke Metz, Mitz, M-E-T-Z, 4-star linebacker that is committed to Alabama, said that he had a great visit. And a lot of people are hoopla here the last 2 days because he went to Georgia. But here's what they've said about this kid. He's taking his visits.
Sure.
He's already committed, but he's taking his visit. He said he had a great time, had some good friends over in Georgia, but he is committed at Alabama. So I don't think that's going to change. Do you think that Metz says, hey, I'm going to flop and go somewhere else?
I don't know. I know that there's certain programs, if I have a kid committed to my program and he's going to go to Alabama, he's going to go to Georgia, your butt puckers up a little bit because look at the facilities they have there.
Right.
Look at the tradition they have now. Hey, Georgia runs the SEC right now. I don't care who that offends Alabama, Auburn wise. Georgia runs the SEC right now. Will that be the case going forward? They're stacked. They're stacked. What are you hearing about Daryl Johnson? Is he a firm commitment?
I don't know. I saw his name this morning as I'm looking over this stuff, and let me go back here to make sure.
We were talking about last week from Eastman, Georgia.
Yeah,
he visited Auburn last week.
He's a firm commit. He committed on March the 20th of 2024. So he is a commit to Alabama, but I don't know. I mean, if he's he obviously, just like all these other guys, he's taking his shots and looking and weighing his options, especially right here at crunch time. He's trying to make sure that I hope he stays. I mean, the kid is a freak. He can do just about anything you need him to do there. So I hope and pray that he stays. And then there's this other kid that you were talking about, the Jackson Lloyd kid from Carmel, California. You brought him to my attention, and so I looked at him, and I've been looking him up here. And this kid, he does look like a gamer. He looks like he sits at home and plays video games, but he's 6'7", 290 freaking pounds. This kid is highly recruited. He's the let's see, the one you like is 247 Sports, right?
I go there mostly.
You like it. So his 247, he's a 91, and then his composite is a .929. So I mean, the kid he's a freak, man. I mean, obviously there's highlights that are playing right now. You can't see him. Well, you could, but y'all can't see him. But this kid is he manhandles. I mean, he's just a manhandling freak of nature. And then finally, for me, the University of Alabama is courting Travis Smith Jr. He's a 4-star from Atlanta. Now, I don't know how hard that's going to be to pry him away from that area, but they're rolling out the red carpet for this kid. They say that he's Julio Jones-ish type of kid. He's 6'4", 191 pounds. They say he's locked into Georgia. Obviously he is. But Alabama's going hard after this kid. So you got a chance, and if a kid like Ty says, hey, I'll come see you, what do you do if you are a head of recruiting or if you're DeBoer? What do you do to try to get somebody like this kid?
Well, first of all, it's about relationships, right? Most of recruiting is about building relationships, and you do it via text message. You go to the schools, you see these kids, but then you surround them with the players.
Yeah.
The best recruiters you have are the players. That's who they're going to be hanging out with. That's who they're working with, and so you get some of those players. Or, for instance, I want to bring Notre Dame in because that's just how I roll. That's what I know. JKO. Jeremiah Wilkuso from the Browns. He plays linebackers with the Browns. He was a big kid for Notre Dame. His brother's a big-time 4-star, probably ended up being a 5-star, goes to IMG. So when Notre Dame had him come in for a visit, they brought his brother in, right, to show him around. They also had a former Dallas Cowboys star, Jalen Smith, one of the best linebackers Notre Dame ever had. That was the two people that showed you around Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Right. Relationship wise. So I think relationship is what it is. You get past players and you show them the national championship trophies. You take them to Nick Saban's office and praise there. What a better recruiter than Nick Saban?
He's the first one I'm gonna have to sit down with.
He's the guy,
right? I mean,
and DeBoer's smart. He's gonna use him. He's still there for a reason.
There's no question. I mean, why would you not use the greatest recruiter at this point of all time? But this kid, they're fighting hard for this kid. I mean, he is
bags of money. Huh?
Oh my gosh, they are throwing everything that you could possibly throw at this young man. And I mean, if you look at him, he is 148 national rank, 14th in his class, 101 national in composite, the 13th wide receiver overall that in the nation.
Who does he play for in Atlanta?
Hold on, let me tell you. It's Westlake.
Oh, Westlake, yeah,
Westlake.
Sure.
Yeah,
great competition.
Kid's a ball player. So I'm saying go hard, Alabama. Do what you got to do and get after this kid. So what's going on the plains?
Well, anything to get him away from Georgia.
Yeah.
I'm in for that.
Obviously you are.
I'm in for that. I don't care about Georgia. Auburn had a big commit last week. Eric Winters from Enterprise, Alabama, 6'2", 200 pounds. So that was huge. He's number 5 kid in the state. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. The emphasis that Freeze has been on is recruiting the state of Alabama. Brian Stanford, you're right. But Brian, how about this? Alabama is known. You're going to get the top kids in the state. That's what Saban's focus was. We're going to recruit local. We're going to get the kids in the state of Alabama. Then we'll go get the other kids. It doesn't seem to be that way now. The board does not seem to be focusing on the state of Alabama. Not that he won't get Alabama kids, because he'll get some Alabama kids just because it's Alabama.
Sure.
But I just pulled up the 24/7 composite list, and it lists all the top players in the state. And let's just look at the top 10. Anthony Coleman from Saraland, committed to Auburn right now. Antoine Fagans from Thompson.
I like that Fagan's name.
Dude, he is a beast. I can't believe he's only number 9 on this list. Going to Auburn. Crawford, defensive lineman from Birmingham. He goes to Parker. Auburn. Derek Smith, athlete from Southside Selma, going to Alabama. Zion Grady. He's going to be Alabama, Auburn, or Georgia. So it's still undetermined. Then top 5, Eric Winters, Auburn. Jacoby Falk from Highland Homes, the edge, Auburn. Malik Autry, the number 1 rated player, the five-star kid from Opelika, going to Auburn. Jared Smith, the edge, not sure, 5-star uncommitted. Then the number 1 player in the class, Naheem Offord, going to Ohio State right now. But some people saying he could flip in-state. So the top 10, Brian, as you know, Auburn is focusing on. And why is that? It's because those relationships. Hugh Freeze and his staff are at these high schools. They're on these campuses. They're meeting these kids, and they're developing those relationships. And you know who's a good indicator to push a kid to a certain school? Their head coach.
Oh, wow, yeah,
sure. So if that relationship is good, and Kevin DeBoer, and I think he is a great hire. I really do. I think DeBoer is a fantastic hire. But he is not doing it the way Saban did it. And it's okay. You can be successful doing others, but I happen to think that you need to really focus in-state recruiting. And right now the top 10 is all leaning toward Auburn, and they hadn't done that in a long time. Hey, what's up, Tim Crow? So I think Auburn is setting them up nicely. You can go recruit a kid that lives 2 hours away, or you can go recruit a kid that lives 14 hours away. Big difference, right?
Sure.
So I think Auburn is doing a good job. And going down the list, since I just have it pulled up here, the running back from Carver, I think he's still committed to Alabama, right? Anthony Rogers, he's going to Alabama, right? I believe. So that's a good pickup. Then you got C.J. May, who this kid forever was committed to Notre Dame, the edge guy. Right now he's committed to Ole Miss, so that's a good reach in from Mississippi to get them. You got KJ Lacey, the quarterback, going to Texas. So you see these other schools sneaking in. Micah DeBose that you were talking about right now says 100% committed to LSU. Right, that's the big. Man, how do you get from Viger to LSU? Right. Is there a road that goes there?
Probably.
You got Carday Smith, the offensive tackle, going to Auburn, ranked number 15. Miles Johnson from T.R. Miller going to Alabama. Alvin Henderson, the running back, 5'9", 200-pound kid from Alba, going to Penn State. I think he ends up at Auburn. Since day one, I've said Auburn. I still think he goes to Auburn. But here's the thing. He likes being recruited. At some point, Hugh Freeze is going to say, hey, we're only going to take 2 incoming freshmen for a running back room. We're not going to keep waiting. So if he don't make a decision soon, he may get left out and have to play in the snow up there in the valley. Then you got another uncommitted kid from Trustful, which is a 3-star kid, Upshaw. Then Ole Miss. Ole Miss has 4 top 21 kids in Alabama.
Jeez.
So, and as you get down the list, you see some other schools come in. So yeah, that's kind of. I just want to go over the kind of where the top players in Alabama, according to 24/7 Composite, is going. The visits are pretty much done for Auburn until September. No more official visits booked right now that I know of. Everything's about Juju Lewis. He's also out at the Elite 11, which is in LA this year. So you don't think the USC coaches are surrounding him?
They're all on it. They're going to take. He is never going to lack for any or want for anything while he's out there.
So Auburn right now is up to number 6 in the composite recruiting ranking.
Does every coach that's wanting Julian Lewis, every head coach, are they at the Elite 11?
The Elite 11 may not let.
Does that work that way?
It may not. I don't know. It makes sense. If you're a head coach, you get to go wherever you want to.
Sure.
So I'm sure there's a lot of head coaches around. And why would you not be hanging out there? Brian, you're right. But see, what you're doing is you're even said, I'm going to lock down the state, then go get everybody else. Some years, the state of Alabama just doesn't have the elite talent that some of the other states do. But for the most part, you want to get your local ones. And that's why I think DeBose is, Kevin DeBoer is missing a little bit. Go get the state first. And Alabama's always been able to do that. And I don't think their focus right now, Brian, is the state. Auburn, though, they're doing a great job with that. It's about relationships. Like I said, that's just the Saban way. And I think Hugh Freeze believes the same way. You get your state. Then you go pick, what you need from the other one. So just my opinion, Brian. Don't get your tail feathers ruffled just because CDK's down. You ain't got to get mad at me.
Well,
I just report the news.
Yeah, you do. I think Hugh Freeze is doing a great job. I mean, when you can go up against the likes of was it Miami and Georgia and win a 4-star DB like the Winters kid, Eric Winters kid, and I mean that shows that he was high level recruiting, right? I mean you're doing something right when you're able to pick these guys up, and Auburn's picked up 15 hard in the last little bit. So I mean I'm looking at some of these kids' names and some of their stats overall. Auburn's doing a great job. They've got 15 commits this cycle. Leading with Eric Winters right here. He's the top 100 recruit. He's on the pledge list, Jerry. The pledge.
Better than being on the plague list. There by Stanfield. See, here's the thing. Some states are. If I'm going to say, hey, there's one state that my team has to go win. What's the best football state? Florida, Texas.
Probably those two.
Georgia.
Yeah. Tight. Yeah. Georgia's rising. Yep.
Yeah, I think those three are probably it. So Alabama doesn't have the most big name recruits. They don't. They got some great players come out every year, but I'm still win the state, man.
Yeah,
win the state. Just my opinion. What do I know? Not a whole lot.
You know about them Auburn Tigers?
I'm trying to go Irish.
So do you feel like when you say War Eagle? Do you feel like you have to say go Irish kind of somewhere in the vicinity of that?
I'm very secure in my manhood. I'm very secure in my fandomhood. Everybody knows it's all Irish all day. But this is my
the
job.
The rumor is you're flopping, dog.
Never flopping.
The rumor is that Jerry White is fixing to be an all-out AU fan, and you're going to ditch Notre Dame. That's what I'm hearing.
Look, I get it's Pride Month.
Kelly says that your office is starting to lean a little more orange and blue heavy. That's what she said.
Kelly don't come in my office.
That may be why she's trying to start that rumor.
That's what it is. No, man, my fandom is secure. This is my job.
This is
my job.
Yeah.
And anytime I can kick Brian Stanfield right in his moose knuckle, I'm going to do it. That's right. I said it. Right in your camel toe, Brian. God bless you.
Stanfield. He's going to hit you right in the face one of these days.
Probably.
J-Dub is a War Chicken fan now. Yep. Brian, there it is. See, I knew I could plant that seed and Brian would just take off and run with it. Go handle that business for us, Brian.
Brian ain't running nowhere. He's like me. We're too old to run.
Hey, man. Amen on that, dude. That's for sure.
Thanks for watching, though, brother.
Dude, man, oh man. That's good stuff.
That's all I got today, man.
That's all you got today. Well, you know what? That's a great time. Great show. Great timing. 30 minutes and 43 seconds. We in, and now we finna be out.
Kevin Moore made his first comment.
What did he say?
He said, that ain't Notre Dame colors Jerry's wearing. It's not. It's orange and gray, and it means Jerry's going to go cut the grass. See?
See, Brian, orange shirt,
It is orange.
orange shirt, and you're right.
And I'm drinking out of an Auburn coffee mug. You know why? Out of an
he,
Auburn shirt.
has got Auburn drawers on too.
Only